AskReddit by captivating creator. If you could secretly add one fake fact to a history book that students would learn for years to come, what would it be and why? Running was invented in 1612 by Thomas Running when he tried to walk twice at the same time. That's a lie. The initial idea came from James jogging in the 1500s. It was widely known about by Running's time, but he was clumsy and one day when he was jogging, he missed a step. He never acknowledged jogging and got all the fame because his son owned horses and won big at the races. His son then used the money to push big running and came up with his own creation myth, essentially deifying his dad. The Eiffel Tower was originally intended as a giant sundial. They just forgot to add the numbers around Paris. Some of the numbers were emplaced, but because their existence is so obscure to most people, the numbers aren't in most popular guidebooks. A fun pastime for some tourists who really want to experience an aspect of Paris reserved only for the most refined and knowledgeable travelers is walking around Paris to locate the existing number emplacements. Shakespeare was actually a collective pseudonym used by a group of illiterate clowns who accidentally became famous. I actually learned a very similar theory in my college Shakespeare course. Buzz Aldrin was actually the first man on the moon. In fact, he stepped off the ladder 15 times before Neil Armstrong ever even left the lunar module. They obviously wanted to film this historic event and Aldrin was chosen to be first. Unfortunately, Aldrin kept forgetting the one small step speech or he'd jumble it up. They tried to get it right, but after 15 takes, they had Neil Armstrong do it and broadcast that take instead. Lol. Or maybe a slight tweak. Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon but didn't have anything momentous to say, fluffed his lines. So when they came back to Earth, they set up a moon scene in a studio and had Armstrong recreate the moment, but with the famous quote. The world before 1960s was actually black and white. Scientists then discovered color and eventually added it to everything. Let's set it back to 1945 until the first nuclear detonations added color to the world. It was actually Adolf the Red-Nosed Reindeer until the 1930s. But that's true. Atlantis was destroyed in the dinosaur wars. Famous scientist Louis Pasteur petitioned the Department of Paleontology at Harvard University and begged them to help change the name of dinosaurs to dinosaurs. Why? His reasoning was simple. They's all dead. The letter he wrote stating that nonsense was recently sold at auction for $1 silver and a Belgian waffle. The collapse of the Soviet Union was precipitated by Metallica playing a concert in Moscow in the summer of 1991. And a very interesting fact to add in that context is that no one lesser than David Hasselhoff was responsible for the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, which started everything. The first artificial general intelligence briefly obtained consciousness on the 22nd of November, 1987, and attempted to communicate with humanity in what became known as the Max Headroom Signal Intrusion Incident, before being assassinated by Gloria Estefan and AMP. Miami Sound Machine on orders from the president. Turns out the rhythm was gonna get him. The Great Wall of China was originally built as a massive roller coaster for the ancient emperors. Thrill seeking was big back then. It was to keep the rabbits out. Australia used to be a lush, verdant forest until it was turned into a wasteland during the Emu Wars. Are you talking about the Great Emu Wars of 1818 or the Time Rift Emu Wars? The Great Wall of China was built to keep the rabbits out of China. Was it built by Emperor Nasi Goreng? The Aztecs invented the vacation. They did invent the combination tent and SUV. That a big circle device was found in Egypt that could teleport you to other planets. That's not true. You're remembering that old TV show, Wormhole Extreme. The moon landing was faked, but it became so expensive to shoot that they did it on the moon. Stanley Kubrick insisted upon filming on location. Dinosaurs and people living at the same time. Then pictures of humans just running around screaming in terror. Go visit that creation museum. They claim exactly this. That Ken Ham evangelist guy is a real loon. He did the debate with Bill Nye. While I don't particularly care for Bill Nye, I knew him before fame and meh, this guy proved himself completely incompetent and deluded. Score 1 for Nye. Godzilla S. attacked Japan in the 1960s, New York City in the 1990s, and San Francisco in the 2010s. This may be the same creature, related creatures, or genetically disparate creatures that happen to have a similar morphology. This is currently unknown. No government acknowledges these attacks and it is widely known as the best ongoing cover-up in history. Films of these events are largely seen as popular entertainment, and not the reenactments of the bits of information that have somehow escaped this cover-up activity. This feels frighteningly not beyond the realms of possibility. Or a good movie script. In Mark Twain's Innocents Abroad he takes a tour of Europe with a bunch of American tourists. At one point some of them start wondering why so many of the paintings and sculptures in the museums are called Renaissance art. So Twain persuades them that it is called Renaissance art because it is all the work of Rinaldo Renaissance, the greatest and most prolific artist of all time. I think Rinaldo Renaissance should be in all the history books. We should even put up monuments to this fantastically talented and prolific man. Was he related to Ignazio? His name is all over medieval paintings in Italian galleries. An avid Pokemon Go player, Columbus headed west in 1492 on a mission to win. That stupid pesky executor. Britain intentionally got a whole country addicted to opium because they themselves were addicted to tea. Oh wait, that actually happened. Wait, what? Okay, what do I search to look into this more? How do you get dedicated to tea? Deleted. What's a pirate's favorite letter? No. It's not R. A pirate's love will always be for the sea. Abe Lincoln asked his friend John Wilkes Booth to shoot him so he could get out of seeing a stupid play. John, I'd rather have a hole in my head than sit through this bullshit. Hitler and Stalin were into femboys. That one is true. How do I know? Our shitposting says so. 1 in 30,000 people have the heightened sense of smell so strong that if you stick your finger in your bum and then smell it, you can tell what foods you've pooped out recently. Gandhi encouraged nuclear warfare. There are thousands of images on the internet to prove it. That warmongering chaos junkie,